The Dad.
Rock and roll!
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
So last night, before I went to bed, or actually went sit down to watch a movie, I went and checked Lucasfilm leadership one more time. And guess what? They finally changed it over. And this is Dave Filoni's new picture. And it says President and Creative Director of Lucasfilm. And I have to admit, it's going to take a while to get used to because we were so deeply beaten over the head with Kathleen Kennedy. And I wanted to talk a little bit about Filoni, and then I'll go into Lin-Manuel Brennan. He is listed as president of Lucasfilm. Lin-Manuel Brennan, as you'll notice, is listed as co-president. But let's talk a little bit about Filoni and what he's actually done at Lucasfilm over the years. So we all know that Dave got his start in Star Wars animation with the Clone Wars. He is the guy that actually came up with Ahsoka, and George gave him his blessing to do it. He grew up with George's input. He had George's blessing. He learned everything that he knows about Star Wars from George. I know there are black pills out there screaming into the void that he basically became Kennedy's stooge. No, he's a company man. But these are people who never actually been in a position like he has, right? We're talking people that make their living off of YouTube, which is utterly ridiculous. But Dave is George's Padawan. And in fact, I've heard some people refer to him as an adopted son, right? Dave and him, he has said he talks to him quite a bit about what's going on. And it's very interesting to me now the fact that he is in the spot that George had been in, and is the final word before a project gets kicked up to, whoever is running Disney, Josh D'Amaro, and anybody below him. I personally think, and I'm going to say this, that Jon Favreau is very much involved in the creative process at Lucasfilm. And the reason why is because Dave's a creative guy, but fresh eyes and a fresh perspective and not being afraid to interact with the fans is something I think this position needs behind it. And John, you go to Star Wars Celebration and he's out there meeting the fans. Now, why isn't he the president of Lucasfilm? Because being the president of a company like that is, I would say, stifling. It wouldn't be for me. I would have a ball. Getting to play in George's toy box with all the cool stuff, I would have a ball. But, John's a filmmaker who has his nose in everything. And I think his mission is to bring Star Wars back. He is going to be very involved in the Heir to the Empire thing, should it happen. And, we need to have Mando and Grogu and Starfighter be successful. Okay, only one of which Disney would pay for, and that was Mando and Grogu. They wouldn't pay for Starfighter, and the reason why is because At first, Kennedy was the one pushing it. Favreau then took it over quietly. It's very interesting what I see going on here. It's not quite a shadow government, not quite a shadow king, but I don't think Filoni is completely alone on top. Let's just put it this way. And everything that's going to be happening is going to be a result of George's input, John's input, and Dave knows what makes Star Wars great. Ahsoka proved it. Now, the rumor that, the world between worlds, blah, 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 is going to change. That's why he put the world between worlds in Rebels and created Mortis, right? Mortis was there. Then he took it and turned it into something vastly bigger. And it's something that Iger and Bergman wanted to stay away from the deep lore. But they also don't know, the fans know this stuff. And other people really want to see this stuff on screen. They haven't seen it before. One of the things that George, I think, has probably imbued Dave with is give people stuff they haven't seen before. And give them, characters that are not only likable, but are real. Give it real dialogue, give them a real struggle. Rey never had that. And we know that. And in fact, Uga's Cantina is going into refurbishment now at Galaxy's Edge because they're turning it over to the OG. Right? So we've got two major attractions down at Disney and Galaxy's Edge at the same time, which is unheard of. But there you go. This is what is going on. And we've got, Dave taking over. Luke and Leia suddenly show up at Star Tours and at Hollywood Studios. Like literally the day after Kennedy's interview happened. So, you gotta be hopeful. This is where things change. And already you see the Blue Pills screaming for the Rey trilogy and the Simon Kinberg bullshit. And, some, probably member of Antifa was posting shit like that on X. And I let him have it because it's stupid. Disney can't afford to lose money anymore. They lost $14 billion during the Kennedy era, all right? And that's unheard of. And that's where Filoni has to come in and choose what the fans want to see, right? This is Lin-Wen Brennan, and she is, quote, co-president, and all she's doing is the business side, and she's running ILM. So she has no input with any of the creative stuff. Now, Carrie Beck is way up there now, and Momita Sengupta, who's basically been just like anonymous, which is fine. That's somebody in her position should be anonymous. The other reason why we know who she is, she's listed on there. But yeah, so there's no reason not to have hope. And again, you've got people who don't really understand the level of mismanagement that was going on with Kennedy. And, as I like to say, personnel is policy. And when you've got low-level executives showing up on the days at Star Wars Celebration with her and then complaining we shouldn't know who they are, looking at you, Pablo, you're like, wait a minute. Pablo, if we're not supposed to know who you are, why did you go to Star Wars Celebration, stride out like a grand poobah, and get up there on the days with Kathleen Kennedy and Carrie Hart if we're not supposed to know who you are? See, this is the problem. Personnel is policy. And as long as people like him are there on the list, they'll never be able to heal properly. And the world is healing. Okay? But people that have caused trouble in the past need to be let go. And this is the part where I think the fans should get upset. Let's talk more.
I've been basking in it for the last 30 minutes. My God. I feel like a seafront village after the Vikings have left.
How embarrassing for you. I left you a message not to come. I'm passing on The Godfather.
So, in my opinion, everything is pointing upwards now. And I think people really need to stop being so negative. But look, you see it everywhere. You see it on X. You see it on Facebook. People don't want to believe. I mean, after 14 years of this vile woman running Lucasfilm and being unable to connect with the fans because, remember, she's better than we are. She's a sociopath and thinks that without her, we're just wandering around aimlessly. All right, she's she's a boomer awful. And it's very difficult, I think, for people to get past it. So what I think has to happen in the next few months is there has to be a change of personnel. There are people that were listed in the now very silent Karen McCarthy lawsuit that were named. Candace Campos, Rhonda Jort, who are still at Lucasfilm, that I really think should probably move on. Maybe retire, I don't know. And of course, you've got the Story Group. And Matt Martin seems to have bent the knee. But if you go to Blue Sky, and I've got the receipts from my friend, Pablo Hidalgo's gotten militant. He's absolutely gotten militant. So there has to be a change of personnel, and it has to be out there, not untransparent like everything that's been going on. But then we have to talk about the black pills. They make a lot of money on rage clickbait, right? Rage porn. And they're kind of like the coyote, should he ever have caught the Roadrunner.
Holy shit. I did it. He's under there. I got him. I fucking got him. Jesus, I'm gonna need a shovel. Oh, this is delicious. I mean, it's like when you work for your meal, when you really work for it, it just tastes that much better,
So, what are you gonna do now?
Huh. Never really thought about it. Been chasing this damn bird for 20 years. I'm not really trained for anything else. I guess I kind of let my life get away from me.
Well, I'm sure something will turn up.
So, as you guys know, the black pills have been attacking Dave, and they have for the last 2 years. Lies being told about him being Kennedy's stooge, etc. Why are they doing this? When everything he's touched since long before George sold to Disney, has been stuff people liked, right? They need something to shoot at. They need something for you to get pissed off at. They need to make money. And Kennedy leaving is an existential crisis for them, right? Now, Star Wars theory is smart because he loves Star Wars. So first and foremost is being positive about, what's going on in his mind. He doesn't base his whole business model on politics and rage porn. But here's the deal. All right, let's go back. Remember when Kennedy sold her art collection last year? That was a politically charged art collection. And as far as I'm concerned, anytime art is politically charged with a political message, it ceases to be art and becomes propaganda, right? That's what these 3 movies here are. They're propaganda. Woke, angry, female-based, communist-based garbage. And they're not good Star Wars. Everybody saw it. There are a lot of people out there that aren't as well educated and how to look at things objectively and say they can do better. There needs to be a change. They can do better. But these people want Disney to sell Lucasfilm, and they're not going to. They think they can bankrupt Disney. They're not going to. Okay? That is a delusion. And it's every bit as delusional as Kathleen Kennedy thinking, she can make these shitty LGBTQ plus positive, communist-based manifesto films, propaganda films, and some sort of audience would rise up out of the ashes and make them successful, and they weren't. I mean, I would look at the Force Awakens as not being a successful movie. The proof is the movies that came after it lost box office to it. I mean, we all know The Last Jedi didn't make the money Disney wanted it to make. It made over $1 billion less. And The Rise of Skywalker, or Palpatine, I should say, barely crossed $1 billion. And the reason why is because they left the theaters long enough to be $1 billion. All right. And that was all just to save her ass. But they're propaganda. The Force Awakens propaganda, female empowerment crap, and then The Last Jedi turned into LGBTQ plus shit, topped off with the cherry on the shit sandwich, Rose Tico's Maoist diatribe at a place we didn't give 2 shits about, Canto Bight. Because that little side trip didn't do anything for the main plot. Subplots are supposed to carry the main plot at times, and they're supposed to be, they're supposed to be part of it. And I'm sorry, when you looked at that little side trip, it was garbage, right? It was absolute. It went nowhere. The bad guy they met was pointless. It was pointless. And the only reason why it was there and why they kept it is because Kennedy wanted the Maoist speech by a poor Asian girl who looked like a potato sack with a weird haircut. All right? Everybody is now looking at The Last Jedi saying it was mean-spirited and ugly. And it was attack on the fans, and it was attack on George. Right? And that's what it was. And the rise of Palpatine didn't fix anything. It made it worse. So there you go. This is where the rage porn comes in. Because Disney wasn't transparent 2.5 years ago when Kennedy, I believe, actually did step down. Because, look, we've been told by Sparrow, they said she has not been a factor in the office for a very, very, very long time. And she herself, in her interview, said this idea of succession has been going on for 2.5 years. What happened 2.5 years ago? The Dial of Destiny came out. And it's literally one of the biggest box office flops ever. Okay. Not because Harrison Ford. Because Kennedy could not stand having a male-based adventure movie without sticking her avatar in and putting it into some sort of LGBTQ, which, obviously it was, dumpster fire with Phoebe Waller-Bridge, right? The idiot British stick insect with no soul, right? I mean, that's exactly what Phoebe Waller-Bridge is, right? And that's, right? I would say the 3rd of July literally was the day, maybe Thursday was the day, during previews, was the day she found out Disney had had enough. They were looking at preview sales and box office and going, fuck. I mean, this is where Bob Iger probably got the board to agree she doesn't know what the fuck she's doing and she needs to go. Because look, I'll tell you, it wasn't Disney executives exactly saying, get her the hell out of there. It was the board, right? There you go. Okay, but you have to understand, somebody that has a socially relevant or important art collection doesn't know how to make money, right? Their money floats in and out of their lives like snow, right? But now we have black pills who have absolutely nothing to say anymore, and their shtick is going to get old when stuff starts getting better. This is an existential crisis. So they make shit up about Dave Filoni. They attack his wife, who's never said a word about the Star Wars fans, like Pablo Hidalgo's wife did. She was very involved in 2018's bullshit, the little war going on. This is their existential crisis. Filoni's there. It's real. Look on the leadership page at Lucasfilm. Are you going to give them a chance to fix what they broke? Or are you going to keep going on with this sad, moth-filled, dusty bullshit argument? So we'll see, all right? But a new day has dawned. And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens further. Because I'll give you a little clue. When you've got Uga's Cantina going down for refurbishment to the OG, and you've got Rise of the Resistance going down for, quote, maintenance, something's going on. And it's positive. We'll see. This is Steph signing out. See you around the galaxy.
Ready, everybody?
All set.
Here we go again.